It's alright.
Oh my god!
Yo guys, what is up? Max on Borderlands 3 video, and today we have something unlike anything you've ever seen on the channel. Today is the day. Today is MeetBall Moze, and I am so excited to share it with you guys. Now, this build is continuing on our series of builds that are getting ready for this raid, and this is truly something special. You may be wondering, hey Moxie, this is a Moze build. You're on Amara. That is because this is a dual build. We are combining two skill trees on two different characters to make one of the most broken combinations for this boss that I have ever seen, and we're doing it by giving the ball to Moze, and Moze is meeting the ball. MeetBall Moze. Oh my god, it's too perfect. Amara Nara and MeetBall Moze combined is one of the most busted combinations you have ever seen. We are going to give Moze the B shield, and I'm so excited to teach you guys how. If you guys do enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And with that, guys, let's get right into it. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about the Amara setup first, and then we'll go into Moze. But before we do that, we need to talk about meatballs. Now, you guys may know and love meatballs, but we're talking about a different kind of meatball today. And those meatballs are the ones below your waist. And when you're shaving them, you need to be using Manscaped. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, and Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below the waist grooming and hygiene. If you've seen some of my past videos, you'll know that I love this brand, and I reached out to them about MeetBall Moze. They thought it was a great idea. So if you guys are shaving the spaghetti around your meatballs, make sure you're using Manscaped's new Lawnmower 3.0 water-resistant body trimmer with skin-safe technology so you don't nick those meatballs. If you get their Perfect Package 3.0, not only will you get the lawnmower, but you also get their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner. And if you use code MOXIE at checkout, not only will you get 20% off plus free international shipping, but you'll also get a shed travel bag and anti-chafing boxer briefs. If you guys want to check out their website, be sure to. It's in the description and in the pinned comment. And with that, guys, let's get right into the video. Alright, thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into the build. And we're talking about Amara Nara first. Now, Amara Nara is all about glow up. This skill is busted. I hadn't tried it before making this, and it's so interesting because it scales the same way that Phase Flare works. Phase Flare reads, every time Amara uses a melee attack on the orb, it gains increased damage based on the damage she dealt to it. And the healing from glow up ticks every 0.3 seconds. Every 0.3 seconds it does a heal tick, and it says base 1593 heals per second, which is true. That is the healing it does per second. But if you punch the orb, it's going to gain increased damage, and the healing is going to scale with the damage. And because of this, as a support Amara, we can actually spec into all the melee damage that we possibly can. Basically, we're picked up a bunch of other stuff, but the more melee damage we're going to do, the bigger the heals will get. And that's what dictated a lot of the skill tree and the gear that we're using with this build, because we want to pump our melee damage, which is one, going to allow us to be a damage tank. Like, we can do a ton of damage. We're going to be super tanky, and we're going to heal our friends and our Moze player for, I think the highest I got was around like 127k per 0.3 seconds, like up to like 381,000 healing per second, which will out heal any shield in the game that you're using for amp damage, for slamming. I've got some footage during this video of Psychotic Wolf using his slam cannon Moze build, and we're like recharging his shield so that he can get full slam damage all the time. It is insane. So because our healing is based off of our melee damage, we're spec'd into a ton of melee damage, and we're also going to be using super heavy melee damage gear, such as the Psycho Stabber with its 340% melee damage passive, Brawler's Ward with 300 melee damage while shield is depleted. I'm using a Muse, which has got a point into Illuminated Fist, which is going to give me a total of 150% melee damage there. I've got another 100 melee damage from Find Your Center, and we're also grabbing a bunch of utility skills, and most importantly, we have points into Laid Bare, and we are using Glamour. This is the first build I've ever used Glamour on, period. On all of my Amara builds, I've never touched this skill. It was broken for so long, and this Glamour action skill augment works so well with the ball because it doesn't have like a cooldown of tapping enemies, meaning that all the enemies that get hit by the ball as you're bringing it around will just not target any of your teammates for their 8-second duration, meaning that you can basically AoE confuse an entire room of the takedown, an entire room of the Guardian takedown, or the entire boss arena of Hemovorus, meaning that you and your allies can just focus on damage, and you're going to be getting that healing. Now, because we went all the way down to Glimmer, we also get Guardian Angel. We're getting Vigor, which is a skill I've never spec'd into in all my days of playing Amara, which is going to give you and your allies movement speed. Now, this is a kill skill, and you may be like, hey, we're not going to be doing a lot of damage as a support build. This build actually hits for a ton of damage, and it hits for a lot of damage with the ball. The ball is going to be hitting 300, 400 million because we're spec'd so heavily into melee damage. Now, we'll talk about the artifact in a bit because the artifact is super complicated, but everything here is to keep us alive and to have as much damage as we can so that we can cast ball as much as we want. With Avatar, we're using Laid Bare on top of that, so all the Laid Bare is a global damage increase for you and all your allies. All of the enemies that get hit by the ball are going to take 50% increased V2 damage from all sources. This is huge for melting, and it's not as big of as a debuff as the Flak build did, but for this build, the reason I'm not using like debuff weapons is because we need to be using these melee weapons to keep up our melee damage, and it just works better sticking around with the Stabber, with the Sellout, with the Face Puncher. The only reason I use the the Sellout was just for demonstrations to show that I can do more damage when my shield is down, basically directly showing that when our shield is down and we do more melee damage, we're going to get more healing because we're going to punch the ball harder. And this build plays in the way that what you're going to want to do is you cast the ball out, you bring it back to you. Depending on your artifact is depending on how many times you're going to punch the ball. So that should break the ball there. And I knew it was going to break there because of my artifacts. Now, you do damage to ball, but the artifacts that you're wearing will do more damage. And what I mean by that is, for example, if I'm using an Elemental Projector, White Elephant, these are two non-ball damaging artifacts. I will be able to punch ball once, twice, 3, 4, and it should break now off of this punch. Yeah. So that was a ton of punches, and that is because the Elemental Projector and White Elephant are a prefix and a suffix that don't detract from ball's health. The Firestone Static Charge, the Firestone or any stone, and the Static Charge are both a prefix and a suffix that detract from ball's health, and you don't want that because you're not going to be able to use the ball as much without it breaking. So here's 1 punch, 2 punches, and it's gone. It broke there off of 2 punches, meaning that if I want to bring it around, if I want to send it to allies, I won't be able to because the ball will break and I'll go on cooldown, which is not good. So I've found that it's nice to have 1 damage prefix. I know this is probably a little confusing, but use something like a Corrosive Stone White Elephant. White Elephant is non-damaging, Corrosive Stone is damaging. This will give you 3 punches on the ball. If you want to use a team-oriented thing, such as like a Cut Purse with your Face Puncher, this is going to give you 5 slaps on the ball, which is a lot, but it also means that you need to hit the ball 5 times to get up to max healing. So it's a trade-off. You can shoot the ball around, heal a bunch of allies because glow up will res allies for you. But at the same time, if you want to get to max healing, you're going to have to punch the ball 5 times versus using like a Corrosive Stone, which is what I've been preferring, which will give you 3 punches on the ball, which seems like a fair amount. Sorry, that's confusing. In terms of the class mod, we're using the Muse. You can use the Golden Rule. The Golden Rule is great. The biggest thing is that we want 3 in Laid Bare. Compared to the Golden Rule and the Muse, my cooldown seemed fine, and the Muse is going to give me more healing because it gives me the more melee damage because it can spec into Illuminated Fist, but you can use either. And that's it for the Marinara build. You basically just drag the ball around with you, you punch it, bring it out, and then instead of pushing it around to enemies, just bring it around with you, and the ball will kill everything, and because it's right on top of you, it's going to be healing you for an insane amount, and you won't be able to die. You'll have a ton of damage reduction, ton of healing. You can shoot your Face Puncher out to give White Elephants. It'll proc Cut Purse, or depending on what relic you want to use, and you can use a bunch of different relics, but it's super easy to do. And just bring the ball with you to your Moze players, to your damage dealers, and it'll support them as well. Super fun setup. And now let's switch over to Moze. So time to talk about MeetBall Moze, and this is where things get a little saucy. So for this build, you could use whatever Moze build you want. You could use Fire Hose Moze, Molotov Moze, Baby Boomer Moze, Almighty Moze. Anything you want to use would work well with this because you're going to have aggro leaf, damage increase, and healing, so that you feel very supported. Your build is going to work even better than it would, but I thought it'd be particularly interesting and super unique if we did something that we couldn't do without Amara being present, and that is use a Bloodletter with an Amp Shield. Now this is going to create the effect of the B Shield, because every single one of your pellets, no matter how fast firing your gun is, every single shot is going to get amped. We tested this. The health regen of the ball will keep up with your shield drain from the amp shots, and this creates a B-like effect where every single one of your shots is getting amped, and I thought that was so cool. Now for the gear and skill tree, I just picked out a bunch of like really powerful weapons: the Plasma Coil, the Plague Bear, the Monarch, the Flipper. You can use whatever you want, and depending on what this raid boss's health bar is going to be, if it's an armor bar, health bar, shield bar, you could change your anointments. You could use URAD, consecutive hits, next 2 megs. This is kind of more of a speculation of like what's going to happen than like this is everything I'm going to be using for the raid, because obviously when the raid boss does come out, I'll show you guys the builds that work best for me for killing it. But I think this build is going to do really well because it outputs a stupid amount of damage, and we're picking up all the Moze basics: Fire in the Skag Den, Torg Cross Promotion, Stainless Steel Bear, Short Fuse, Desperate Measures, Drowning in Brass. We've got Specialist Bear, Scorching RPMs, Redistribution, Stoke the Embers, and Cuddle Loud. And the way this build is formatted is you're going to be getting a ton of damage in Iron Bear, but you're also going to be getting a ton of damage as Moze, because we did pick up a bunch of Iron Bear skills, so both are going to work really well. Now I stayed away a little bit from healing. I put 1 point in Vampire and none in Russian Offensive Lifesteal, and that is because we're not going to need any healing. We're going to be unkillable as long as we're near ball, and if we do go down, if we're near ball, the ball will res us, so we're very fine. And then for this, I was rocking the Bloodletter, using a Pearl and a Spring Epicenter. You could use a Cloning Mining Tracker, depending on how many pellets you're going to be firing. If you're going to use like a Plague Bear, you should use an O.M, but if you're going to use something like the Monarch, use the One-Shotter Shield. And yeah guys, that's the skill tree, that's the build. I think this is going to kick butt in the raid, and I'm super excited for this. I hope you guys have been enjoying these like more creative support focused damage builds for this raid boss, because it's something new and something refreshing. I've made so many builds and I really have been enjoying making these, so I hope you guys do enjoy these kind of types of videos. I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.